How are you, Jolene? Did you walk over?
I did.
Oh my gosh.
It's only
You're
her.
intrepid. Wow, look at how big and good.
Oh, I was in here on time. I decided to finish working.
Oh, oh, no, of course, when you needed to do something.
Oh, Solveig is missing.
I saw Solveig this morning.
Well, that doesn't big help.
I know, she's not here now, is she?
Yes.
But we know she's in town.
Let them in.
No, there's nobody there. Just nobody but us chickens in here right now.
There's nobody?
Nope.
Well,
I could make it.
do you think they actually are, they looked at the newsletter to see?
Well, and I didn't send them a special
No, we
invitation
don't.
today.
They just need to get it now. I was going to ask you, but I decided not to.
Right.
How many who is there? How long?
No, actually just us. That one participant is us.
Oh,
Yeah, isn't that
that
nice?
would be good because then we don't need to use the mic.
Yeah. But like I said, if you leave them on the
Yeah,
table.
I know, but I mean, we don't
Yeah.
need to use the mic.
Right. We do have one empty spot, so if Solveig comes in, there's a spot for her next to Dawn and Joan.
All right.
Hi, Kathy. Did you guys coordinate your outfits? You look
Yeah.
great. I like that. The Zone 6 official color. Yes, always in the bright pink. I love it.
All right, so let's start our meeting, 3 o'clock. Welcome, everyone. Now, I noticed that we have no homeowners listening in to our,
Yeah, Dan.
no, I mean on Zoom.
Oh.
I mean on Zoom. So because it depends on this, so we don't really need to use the mic, which is good in that respect. Oops, is that, who's that?
Somebody's phone.
That's mine. No, it's. Oh, it's yours.
It is turned off. It's coming.
Oh,
Yeah, I didn't mean to do that.
okay. We're going to do the roll call. Okay, we're done. But where you go?
I'm just
Oh.
gonna turn the.
Oh, there's one, we have one person. Okay. All right, so let's do the roll call.
Yes, that's right.
We have one guest, right? Okay. So it looks like I'm going to mention the names since, do I need to mention nobody's on here, right? So,
Right, we have Peter Pelkhofer is attending on Zoom.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's okay. So Linda, Rick, Diane, Jim Shaw, Jolene, Lisa Tafoya, Don Lance Little, Nina White, Don Elvanger, Joan Prado, Kathy Wall are all here, except for Solveig Toft. We have, she's absent. Okay. So the first item on the agenda are the minutes. Hands, well, all those in favor, please raise your hand. For the minutes. I wasn't here. The minutes, are you in favor of the minutes? Can you raise your hand so I can make a count? 1, 2, 3. Oh, okay. 1, 2, I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You went here, so and neither, so we got 7 ayes. Nays? No, I'm saying the nay now. Nays? No nays. Abstentions? 1, 2, 3, 4.
5.
Well, it's 5. Yeah. So the motion carries. So the next item is the liaison report. Okay.
Because Peter's on Zoom, I will use this. I know we don't need it really in the room, but in case my voice drops, it helps too. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Cheryl Nelson. This is my second meeting, but the first one in person. So I wanted to cover a little bit more today than I did last time. I'm new to being a liaison, so I thought I'd talk a little bit about what a liaison is and clarify where I'm coming from for the whole committee. I know there have been some issues within the committee that some people have questions and concerns. My role is to take those back to the board and talk to the board and see what we can do or not do. So it's a matter of communication, and I'll cover that in a few seconds. But I wanted to cover what the board expects of you, because that's the other half of my job, to let you know what we're looking for, what we're expecting. So basically, as stewards, you're still going to do zone walks and do things. Your job is to look for what's issues are out there, what things should be done, problems that are there, and bring them to the committee's attention through the chair during those zone walks or at other times that you might be out there. I think we've got something for you to see as a, yeah, there we go. Let's bring that up. I'm not going to read this to you, but you know, it's a summary. You can, Betsy, is this going to go to chat for Peter? And do we have copies of these? Okay. Oh, okay. Okay, then he can see it, and okay. There, we can get you copies of this as well if you'd like to have them. But what we're doing is I will try to be at every grounds walk. Christina will be at grounds walk. We'll walk, talk, and from that we'll make decisions about what should become a work order. We are looking for things that are potential hazards and safety issues first. That's the primary thing we're looking for. If we've got problems, we need to solve those, but we also want to know upkeep, other maintenance issues. The cost is the board's responsibility, so that shouldn't be anything you worry about when you're looking for things that need to be done or bringing them to the attention of this committee. It's okay to rank a priority when you're sending things to the board. You know, we think this needs to be done first, this second and third. Your role is to talk to the chair. The chair and I talk. Betsy and I talk. I work with the board, but Betsy is the communication tool to the vendor. So when we're out for walks, you're not saying to the vendor, I want you to do this. That's through the work order process. And we have some governing documents. If you don't have all of them in your, and again, they're on the bottom of that, that's there. If you don't have copies of those, please let me know or let Christina know so that we can get you copies of those things, because that's what the board's going to be working with and through. And because communication is such a big, important thing, I did a chart because I'm a visual person sometimes, and we're going to bring that up in PowerPoint. And again, you can get a copy of this if you want, but it's basically, you guys are an advisory committee and your route of communication is through this committee and your chair. Christina and I will talk on a regular basis. We will communicate where we need to with the association manager. We'll bring things back to this committee through me and through Christina. And I will be the one that talks with the board and talks about what we're doing and how we're doing things. For instance, one of those things that has been the design guidelines, the board still wants this committee involved, but right now they're still discussing those things. So they have not come back to this committee for your input, but they will in the future. So that's the kind of thing that I will be communicating to you during these meetings.
Right, and just to follow up on that, Cheryl, the board did approve at their last board meeting the Carson plant palette. So moving forward, we will be using the Carson plant palette for the Carson plant. Yes, plant palette, okay, for the thing, plant palette.
Plant list.
Okay. Oh,
Yes, yeah. So that will be that, yeah, thank you. That'll be so that was approved last time. And also, if you have any questions for Cheryl on what she has just said, we can ask her when the zone steward comments come up. So that's when we can have questions there. You have your. Yes.
Is it adopted in April 2020?
Yes, that's it. Yeah, that's still valid. Yeah, that's still valid. Great. Yes. We do have that. It's actually, it was approved by the board. So yeah, it should be in here. Yeah, it will be.
I will put it right here on your ground.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So we have the charter.
yeah.
We'll put those policies also. Oh, it says that
That's,
is the
yeah.
2014 one, so
Right.
I'll replace that. Yeah, I'll
Yeah,
replace it right there.
so we'll have that then for the current one. So that way we'll, and then,
And then the photos here are just photos of ones we already have here, but. many of
Yeah.
what-
okay, so, yeah. Say again? Yeah. Okay. So that'll be up on the, yeah, we'll have that there. Okay, so I guess next item on the agenda is the homeowner comments. Does Peter, you're the only person here, is it? And the gentleman back here. Peter, do you have any comments?
I do not.
Okay, go ahead. Oh, you don't have? Did you say you do have or you don't?
I do not have any comments.
Thank you.
Simply observing.
Okay, thank you. Do you? Nothing. No, so no homeowner comments. Okay, so the next item is to discuss possible change to the zone walk process. And I think Betsy, you have some comments on that, on how to make it more efficient or go ahead.
So I think that one of the problems that we've had in the time I've been here, and I've been on many zone walks with many of you, is simply that the zones are very large. And in spite of our best efforts, we can't see everything every time. And I also have noticed that in spite of our best effort to try and do it in a different way the next time, so we see things that we missed, there are whole areas that just do not ever seem to be looked at. And so what I thought might be helpful is to kind of create subzones. And I'm going to put this up on the screen. And what I basically have done is taken each of the zones and created, this is zone 1, we have zone 1A. And so let's just say it's January 1 and we're doing, or January 2, which is not a holiday. We're doing our first zone walk. Rather than try to walk all of this zone, we walk primarily around this section. Now, you might say, well, what about the things we're missing here and here and down here? But my point is that in the next 7 weeks, we would be back in zone 1 and we would see everything there is to see in zone B. And this is the only way I can think of to ensure that we are genuinely looking at every piece of zone within a given year. The zone schedule, the walk schedule would look a little different. So, you know, the first walk of the year would say 1A. The second walk of the year would say 2A. The third would say 3A. But this is the only way I can see that we can not miss things. And that way you don't have the problem of homeowners saying, I've been asking for help for years and nobody ever seems to notice how bad my area looks. Rather than making homeowners have to jump we're meeting our responsibility under the government documents to maintain the common area. So that's my idea for it, and I just wanted to see what you think of this, if you have questions of it. One thing I will say is we do have 52 of these areas. However, some zones are smaller than others, so, you know, your job is still to kind of like give that bigger picture view when we're on a walk, and let's say we're in 2C, and you know there's things in 2A or 2G that are really important and shouldn't be missed. We can still use that walk time to go and look at those after we've done our thorough walk in one area. Okay, that's fine.
Looking at, because your designated areas up there are pretty small.
Some are small, some are bigger. So, but I would think that the walk should still take about an hour to an hour and a half. Yeah.
So if we were to start at
Mhm,
still keeping an eye on the clock,
mhm,
we have geographic designations.
mhm.
So we work through the geographic designations within time.
Yes, we could do that. However, one of the advantages I see to this is if we just stick to the one designation, so just say 2A, for example, and yes, maybe there's still time on the clock, and we could go to 2B. I want homeowners to know what our schedule is and to know that at this walk we'll be in 2H. And I think if we do what you're describing, we might miss some folks that want to meet with us or have questions online.
I already.
Yeah, you do have your
I
own.
have my own, so can I, because this has been working. It's almost the same thing, except instead of 8, I've got 6. I've got 6
Six
areas.
subzones. Yeah, I mean, I think that, we've got some time to work that out, and I'm obviously wanting to hear agreeable, and then.
I did this last year, but still with the alleys or? No, it's separated, so it's chunks. It's chunks, and, I've got the line so we know where we're going.
And we can still name them 2A, 2B, 2C. So it's 6 designations. Right, and that's the other thing I see happening, Dawn, is let's say it is a small one this time, and we're done in 45 minutes. Well, any requests that we have in your zone from homeowners, that's our opportunity to fill those requests. So it gives a little more time for that kind of thoughtfulness. Whereas sometimes in the past, because we're trying to cover a whole zone, it's 11 o'clock and we're hot and exhausted, and if there were any homeowner requests, they were just completely out the window.
Hi, since I'm not quite retired yet and I work,
Yeah.
is zone 7 gonna be divided in so many areas? So, I could try to accommodate multiple walks, but it's kind of tough. So, same schedule, 7 weeks.
Yeah, so it'd still be every 7 weeks. So we wouldn't be, we would only be in your zone once every 7 weeks. Yeah, and ironically though, like after 4 visits, we'd be done with yours.
So if there's 7 zones,
Yeah.
7 subzones, that subzone would only get visited once a year.
That's true. That's true.
That doesn't seem fair enough.
Yeah, and that's why I still, obviously your job is still to be more centralized, so that if you do see a problem developing in one of those other areas, you can at the next subzone. I'm sorry, let me mute. Karen? Oh, here. Okay, go ahead.
And that's fine. I think even going back, timing, why I asked if you had still thinking of the time that the hour and a half. That's
Yeah, because I don't want to miss anything either, but we would need a committee double this size to even look at 2 subzones every year, right? that's the limitation. It's a big property and not a lot of eyeballs to look at it. But if we're going to be comprehensive, I think we have to cut it into smaller bites.
But to walk around your area ceiling
Yeah.
and
Yes, there's,
front and back,
Uh-huh.
alleyway, or you walk
Uh-huh.
down the alleyway, a couple of times, you stop and talk, and
Mhm.
same thing front, so you're.
well, and I'm not saying, here it is, it's perfect, let's talk about it, yeah. So, I mean, if you feel like in this example, G and H, that seems like a sufficient amount for a one block. You know, we could do that, I could probably, yeah, in fact,
I support the idea of having segments.
yeah, I could go back and try 26 subzones instead of 52 subzones, and then each subzone will be walked twice within a year.
Why don't you get together with the zone stewards in separate zones, depending on the size, and see how they think it could best be handled?
I would love that, yeah, if every one of you would take a look at yours and draw up what you think are good subzones.
Kind of what Diane's done.
Yeah, I would just love that, and then we can talk about it again next month and adopt them.
Yeah, maybe we can get what you've done. Yours done,
Yeah.
and then work this out and then bring it back next month.
Send everyone.
I will, I'll send this out, and I'll also send blank ones, so you can draw them too. Yeah, and I tried to do
I
this
think,
in a.
yeah, I think we need to do something different. So
Yeah.
what's happening now.
Yeah,
A lot
I
of
mean-
areas I think this stuff.
Yeah, we noticed that on our zone 6 walk, when we walked past one area that probably hadn't been looked at ever, so, anyway, I'm sorry, Jim.
I was just gonna say the idea, feeding off of what Don said, the idea of making it twice a year for sure on a scheduled basis, so the homeowners know, I
Yes,
think is a very, very.
I think so too, and making sure that we're kind of publishing that on the website and maybe even a couple times in the newsletter throughout the year, because then they have assurance that we're doing our job and they don't feel like they have to worry
So
about.
why don't we just send out the zone maps to the homes?
I will do that.
And then we can all come back on this next
That
month.
would drive the design of the subdivisions,
Yeah, it would,
knowing that you're gonna have to get through,
yeah,
the full enchilada once every 26 days.
yeah.
And then also, plus we also have the service requests coming in.
And we can take a look at those,
So let's bring this back next month.
send link. I will do that, thank you.
Any other
guys.
questions on that? We just wait for next. Yes.
I had a comment regarding the zoning. And I guess efficiency, because currently, part of the, to enhance efficiency would be to, have side comments. Some groups, they group together and they have side conversations, but for the efficiency of the zone law, if they could, limit the side conversations.
I agree,
So
yeah.
for the zone steward.
Well, in any, with any zone steward, there's quite a few people that.
It can be a
that
parade.
Participate. Yeah,
Yeah.
it can be a larger group participated, but if they could just stay with the zone board steward and move with that flow.
Yeah, I think that's smart.
That's a good idea. Okay, so let's bring this back.
I will,
We can,
let me bring the agenda back up. Thanks, guys, for considering this with me.
I also think it's a good idea because I remember a long time ago when I was on it's to have homes actually accept us.
They would be
And
like
they
at
would
their
come out of
doorstep.
their door. And, and it was sort of nice to hear from the homeowner because we may have walked right by something that we didn't see. So I think it gives all of all the people who live here, all of our residents.
An opportunity to participate. I
And they
agree.
also know why people are walking around.
Yes,
in a group.
yes. It becomes more of a community effort than just a committee effort.
Of
course.
When he was president, he was offered informing we were on our way. It was a badge thing also, so that there wouldn't be a question.
And I think also what we really need to make sure is that homeowners need to be aware that we have a meeting here and that they can also voice their opinions at
Yeah.
our meeting. I mean,
Yeah.
it's rather distressing just to have one person now, really, on here. I mean, Peter's left.
Like Karen's here.
Yeah, so, I mean, I wish we had more people on Zoom, and it's nice to have people here from, homeowners also present as well. So I think this is where we have a marvelous opportunity. Homeowners have this wonderful opportunity of having the zone stewards here, the board liaison here, Carson representative, so we can, a lot of things can be discussed and questions can be answered.
And we can probably make more effort and newsletter. let them
Yeah,
know
I mean,
about
this,
this.
I think this is where
Yeah.
a lot of information can be questions, etc. Okay, so I think all has a time constraint. So what we need to do is perhaps talk about the tree remediation proposals for zones 3 and 4 that were tabled while Paul is here. And so let's go with zone 3 initially.
Okay.
Lisa, you and Jolene, is there any?
Yeah, we have a couple of, 4 addresses, 701 Dunbarton Circle. Okay. I know we went and looked at these on the last zone
Yeah.
3 walk. And then we have 711 Dunbarton Circle. That was just a little small cleanup. The next one's 811 Dunbarton Circle. That's a bigger effort because there are a number of trees that are coming down. That was a higher cost and a lot more happening. Oh, there's humus. And then the last one is the 1333 Commons, just on the corner of Swarthmore Commons. So are you zone stewards ready?
How do you want to?
Well, it appears it's pruning the tree and getting
Correct.
rid of it.
No, they just pruning it. Oh,
So he's been free.
pruning, that's all they pruning. So what is your decision pretty much here?
Well, I kind of
think
thought there were going to remove it.
Well, that's okay.
Yeah, the goal is to pull wires.
Well, ask
see
Mom.
their money. So the question, why would you prune the tree with approval?
There was some growth.
Yeah.
Well, I looked at it, it was just straight cut. And it just wasn't any of the limbs that had broken off. There wasn't any of. So that's why I asked the question, why prune when you know it's
Well,
going to
so
be.
he's saying that there were some broken branches.
And then you did a clean cut.
And it
There was,
Yeah.
there weren't.
Yeah. So how do we want to proceed on this?
Well, it's scheduled for
No, for this-
removal.
Yes,
So
I know.
it's, yeah.
Are you approving the tree remediation proposal?
Yes, yeah.
I am also.
Also, and so what about the others, all of them?
Also, all of the
I
ones in
move
zone
that
3,
we accept the other
the remediation
proposals,
proposals.
the remediation proposals
For
for
zone
zone 3.
3?
For zone 3.
Okay,
Yeah, the only reason we held it up was for this particular.
okay.
And
So,
then-
right,
Yeah.
I just said,
okay, so I just wanted to make sure. So also the zone 3, the 811, you're approving that. 1333.
709 and
709.
711.
Okay, so that's,
And may I ask, did you decide if you like the red cedar or the American sycamore, the 24 box tree? Or is it whatever's available?
whatever Paul thinks is the best
Okay,
place.
all right, so,
okay, so we've got that. So,
Okay.
Perfect. And so on to zone 4. Questions? There are 2 trees, well, 3. Zone 4 is 500 Dunbarton and
and there's another one at 500 on the.
yeah, so there's 3 trees in total.
two that were
Yeah,
in
but there's,
question.
yeah, but there are three
Okay.
trees, yeah.
So any questions for?
I had a quick question on the size, river birch or sausage magnolia, both will fall.
Foster magnolia, probably 35, 40 foot. 45, 55. The river birch will get a little bit higher.
We get something bigger in there yet?
Well, there's a
Talk about that.
beautiful river birch right across the street here.
But I'm talking 6 or so,
Oh, 60.
because what's coming down is some tall trees.
Locust are probably about 50. About 50. 45, 60.
That's, I love the river birch.
I know.
Well, and it's only about 4 years old, so.
And look at how tall it is.
Well, we've got a lot of tall trees, and that's why I go back to 60-footers and stuff, so we keep some higher level canopies in space in that area for taller trees.
Paul, is there a larger tree you would recommend for that area?
Trees you could do Theodora,
I mean, the big ones are kind of some of the problem ones, right?
Thinking about tulips or something like that.
Like tulip trees? Yeah? Would you recommend a tulip for that area? Or is that too?
spot for tulip trees. It's got a lot of root area and then space there. It's not next to hardscape.
So that's for all the trees, for all the.
For that whole area,
That
so,
whole area.
so for both of the proposed tree locations, do a tulip? Is that what the zone?
Multiple in there, you're gonna stay small. So that would be if you wanna.
Sorry, I'm not, let me just.
If you're gonna plant more than one tree in that spot, for larger trees, even if their potential is to get 5+ feet. Once you start planting multiple trees in there, their available growing space and that maximum potential is going to be. There's gonna be actual competition.
Like,
Breeding space.
like the size of the fish tank?
Fish get to a certain size.
Yeah, so many in there. So, I mean, that would be a consideration, you know, a couple large trees in that spot and forego, well, you know, having 5 or 6 trees that work.
Yeah.
You know, you come back in with the river birch where you can do, you know, 3 to 4 trees in there, or even that soft magnolia, probably do there at that side as well. And again, what's in there, those locusts right now, they're probably about 50.
And they're unattractive as well. I mean, you have to kind of
So
think about
do
what's
you
a
have
tree you
any-
want to look at.
Any comments on that? I mean, the fact that the collection, the grouping would be better with,
I guess also magnolia or for birch.
Yeah, I mean, medium size canopies, you're gonna be able to plant multiples in that planting space, have, you know, bring up more trees at the same time. 1 or 2 large.
But in that area, the sidewalk or eucalyptus all the way over to the tree we talked about. All this. But in the city or something, but it, we talked about 3, maybe 4 large trees, not groupings of smaller, medium-sized trees. And my mind is you still want to keep some of that grassy area. There's a grassy area.
Yes.
When we met out there, we were just talking about birch trees. River birch.
I kept referring to 60 feet tall, 60 feet tall.
so what we have right now is where you're recommending
Great, so 3 of those. And what you
Actually, 2. There's 3 trees coming out and 2 trees recommended.
So
So we're just gonna have 2 trees in there, okay.
as big as the eucalyptus, but bigger than the birch there. The birch are pretty small trees that are there.
You know, what's there, probably about, big birch, they're relatively about the same size.
Birch, spindly and thin trees, not very bushy.
Well, and you have to consider too, that area is gonna be relatively shady, you're only getting sunlight. Pretty walk by, whatever, right here, so that's also gonna, you're also just gonna hear the tree height.
So basically what we're looking at is the Saucer Magnolia or River Birch. And then are you not happy with that idea?
Well, I think I'd go more with the magnolia than river birch. I like the river birch. And if you put 3 of them or something together,
So we're talking about 2 trees here, are we now?
well,
So
we're
we've got-
talking about, yeah.
So we're talking about so you've got here 115 gallon river birch.
And the same on the other proposal.
2 of them. So we're taking 3,000, planting and planting 2. So how do you guys want to move on that?
Well, the magnolia would be taller than the birch, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's a big
Of
road.
these 2 choices, I'd go with the magnolia.
So, okay, so we're talking about, so 500, we're saying, not the river birch, it has to be the Saucer Magnolia. Okay, and that's for zone 4, 500 Dunbarton, figure 14, and also figure 15. Correct, okay, so, and then so are you ready to approve that? Rita?
I'm gonna.
You're abstaining? And okay, does anybody here who's heard these comments?
Can you clarify what was decided
The saucer
Saucer
magnolias.
Magnolia.
on the menu?
Yeah, so Dawn has approved.
I'll move to accept the proposal. Saucer magnolia.
Do I have a second on that from anyone? Any comments, further comments on this, or anyone, any other? So everyone in agreement, all eyes, except for Nina, who's abstaining.
We'll get together as part of the presentation.
Okay, do I show of hands of ayes, please, on this? Aye. Aye. Ayes. Okay. So, motion carries.
This is Brent.
Occasionally. So I believe, I mean, Oscar can speak to this better than I can, but when there's a tree.
Can I just ask one more question,
Yeah.
please? Because since Paul has to leave, let's get back to that. Paul has to leave. So there's a couple of questions about the tree removal. Maybe anybody else has a couple of questions too. What is the timeline when the tree is removed and the stump is there? What is the timeline from the removal to the stump grinding?
Like to happen,
And what is as soon as possible? Because we have a lot of trees taken down, but the stumps all still there.
yeah, we're still working on moving height.
So in other words, if in a week's time, the stumps are still there, that means we need to come back. What's the timeline then from the stumps and the removal and the planting? So what is there a time limit? I mean, do we have to do that after a certain time when the stump is removed? around that, or no, nothing, so you pretty much can, okay. Anybody else have any questions to ask Paul?
Well, I'm sorry.
Yes, go ahead.
Well, let's just send out a memo back in March regarding the training of trees. These old six.
June sixth is probably going to be where we finish some more training, some got three concrete, so we can move into the removal and Eric's gonna move the back work. Get some of the landscaping come in and start areas, so the trees can shift over for removal. Okay, because we prefer, the later that we can push the tree, the better it is. So, again, once we finish with the approved remediation areas on the removal, back up with the tree,
Go ahead.
I just want to comment, I had 3 trees come be removed this past week, and the stump was ground within 2 days, all the 3 stumps. They did a phenomenal job, and they were huge, huge trees. The one homeowner, they removed the bushes in the front. We weren't sure on the last zone walk what was going to happen there. I told the homeowner that the planting may have to wait until the weather's better. I don't know if we want to be putting bushes in when it's 102 degrees outside. No, I didn't. I just kind of left it at that. So, but that's a discretion of you guys.
Yeah, it's at their discretion and they.
Yes. But they did, they ground the stump, they put soil over it. Now
May I ask a question?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Go ahead.
This is in zone 5. There's a tree of 611 elmers that was tagged to be removed because it was dead. I think it was inspected like in January. We did our zone walk, the tree's very much alive. I know Betsy had sent you a work order to re-inspect this tree. And I was just wondering if you had done that and what your.
I'll be submitting the report over to that.
For the board to review.
Is the tree alive?
Yes, the tree is alive. When I was out there in January, there was some, usually when birch trees retain their leaves in fall, it's a sign that they perish, but from our list, so it's looking for.
Thank you.
The redwood tree at, keep waiting to see a sign on the tree or something. What's the status of,
We're still waiting on, permit from.
So I have a question here. The other day, they were taking down the tree, no wind, and they had to really work around with the cost. And I think that was discussion before, I think a couple of years back. When the trees are being taken down on the street with cars, that we would kind of request for that maybe putting cones like something where people abuse are aware that the tree is coming down, so the work is not happening around the tree. Is that something?
Yeah, we can start working on that, but a little bit better.
I know, because last time we had that, I think it must be 2 years ago, we had a discussion about it. Let's see if we can get that back, because it's going to be easier to walk through as well.
That particular car was parked there because the owners.
No, I understand. I'm not talking about this particular car. I'm talking more
In
about in general, just to having phones or something there, something. So just that's only with the ones in.
Regarding the liquid amber removals, with the garland or the.
Yeah, so Robert has the root treatment.
Oh, good. Okay. Is it enough time? Okay, that was my worry, that it was enough time to lazily work. Okay. Any other questions for Paul? Rick, yes.
This is about ivy, about the ivy?
this is about ivy.
Yeah, no, so this is, yeah. Okay, so we're good.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
quick comment in minutes. If you could differentiate between elwing or lancel.
In the minutes, when you're writing the minutes.
Oh, okay, sure. Yeah.
Last minutes, it just said.
Oh, the
Don.
dawns, the two dawns.
Could have been any wrong.
Okay, you can just say Donnie, D-O-N-N-Y. So,
Donnie and Dawn.
yeah. Well, I'll just call it Elvanger and Lansing. How about that? That'll do it. So we were hoping that we'd have some other proposals, but they're not available, so next month we'll have a whole lot of them, I'm sure. Yeah, so, but now we have a parcel report.
So before we do that.
Yes.
The city cleans every 3 weeks. And I don't know if anybody's from the city trying the brush going by this. It was the worst possible dust and dirt coming off of that.
Oh, from the street sweeper?
Oh, it was horrible. I've never seen it that bad. I mean, you can see, it looked like a fog, you
Yeah,
know, in the air.
yeah, that's our big trees, they're big and dirty and.
So, yeah, so maybe we can, one of the reasons I'm putting this update on vacuum truck and blowers here, because we've got a lot of complaints from homeowners. But also we want to see what the impact is on, for instance, on maintenance, on the costs, because, and that's why you guys can actually give us an idea by removing the vacuum truck, right? So that's what.
Vacuum truck is moved.
Yeah, but how is that, what does that create for our maintenance side? Because obviously what the pack an hour.
How does that impact your
Yeah.
efficiency?
Efficiency, cost.
Sure, I mean,
Impacts a lot on the areas where you have a lot of creek. Manually can't do what it is. It's stacking it. I cannot really tell you. You spend, it just depends on the area that you're facing.
So the vacuum truck was like 20 minutes when they just put everything up? Yeah,
yeah, so like 1 hour of vacuum truck equals how many hours of man labor?
Yeah.
That's a hard question.
Hard question, but it's probably 4 times the labor to pick up and move the leaves for back. 4 times.
So how does that impact then the efficiency?
Well, that will make our crews be able to get less done in a given day. So unless we add another more people to our possible change, but we just want. So if the loss of the vacuum makes it so that another person come through, then you would have to
Yeah, and obviously the vacuum would still be there for the 3-4 months during, that's no problem, that's it. So it's just the, let's say, 8 months that we're looking at, so that's something maybe Cheryl would look at, maybe some especially contractors coming. And then the other thing is the blowers, I mean, again, what is the efficiency? Yes.
So, when did you start using the vacuum truck? Oh, since you started.
And especially if she started when it was leaf drop, so that's when it
Well,
started.
it's not so bad in the fall because there's some dampness
Yes.
typically, and so that doesn't seem to be a problem. And maybe if we had to use the vacuum truck, and we staggered the location of where you placed it every week, that may make a difference.
We try that out.
It doesn't matter who gets it, they
I
get
think
out.
it's particularly bad now because of the drought. I mean, so
Yeah.
everything is
No, I-
dry.
I
It's so
appreciate it.
dry, everything is, so, but it's awful.
But it's also time of year.
Time of year. Yes.
So maybe one way to maintain the cost and just, minimize the cost of this issue is instead of blowing every week, in the summer, it's not like we have a lot of leaves.
Oh, it's not about blowing leaves. What it is the cleaning up of the pruning this much time, then they spend the rest of their day pruning, and the cleanup pruning is where they were bringing in the leaf back. So that's always happening every day, every day. of the week.
But the blowers are being used for the mowing, just in
Well,
general.
that is, yeah, but not,
So,
that's very
so maybe I
minor.
misunderstood, so it was like, okay, you're gonna spend more time, to collecting leaves manually and not using the vacuum truck, then maybe we will not be able to do certain things. So maybe instead of that, hiring another person who just kind of do the towing person every other week and not every single week, especially in the summer, I mean, in the fall, yes, but, spring and summer is not like we have.
But what, I think a lot of people are concerned about the volume as well, the decibel level.
Of the vacuum truck, or we have
Blowers,
blowers?
blowers.
Yeah, so with blowers, so what we know with our blowers for this property is we've installed a regulating device, so the guys can't put them under full throttle. Even though we instruct them not to, they still do. So we've actually put a physical barrier, they can't go full throttle, which will help keep the noise down. Being not at full throttle, it just can't blow as much, so it again comes down to productivity.
Yes.
And it takes them a longer amount of time, or their blowing efforts aren't as clean.
So again, that's a time element.
Yeah,
What time do they start in the morning?
blowing or working on property.
Blowing, gas, well, they're gas blowers.
8 o'clock.
Whatever the city regulation is here, for the limit, I think it's 7 a.m. limit, but we start around 8.
8:30 is before, not, no blowing before 8:30. They don't go before 8:30.
You might check with your crew, because I had a couple of homeowners the other day, when I was riding my bicycle, complained that they were starting at 8 o'clock in the morning. And
You know,
I know.
we tell them, but they still do, so we do try to regulate that.
Because we start 7:30 in the shop, we come here, we start 8, and we will be 4 yards full at that particular time. So if homeowners live close to those areas, yes, they're gonna hear from us. When we do the rest of the blowing, we basically stop blowing when we finish the tennis courts and pools, and then we start, mowing, edging, pruning, then we start blowers. So if they are complaining about it, we need to.
Yeah, well, the
Okay, I will-
no, we have pickleballers and tennis players who show up at 8:30 every morning, and that's why they're trying to get ahead of that. Otherwise, they'd have to come back like 4 in the afternoon, make it the last thing they do.
Right. Yeah, that's.
By then, the air quality, the heat.
Yeah, but
it's
then
just
the
wrong.
tennis players.
Exactly, so us, it's dirty, leaving it.
Yeah. Okay, so that's something maybe you, Cheryl. Any other questions for Carson or any updates that you guys have or any questions? Yes, go on. Yes, Lancer.
Well, Carson's here because the notes that you sent out on zone 4 walk in 10:04. Walkway down to the
Yes, I haven't
door,
heard back from
and there's 2 trees in there. One, I guess, is a
Tree Burn.
tree fern, there's a shorter one. And I asked Austin, please don't touch that shorter one. Betsy, you may remember, it was just about the time I was moving in here before, there were a couple of the same things out front planted by the homeowner.
Yeah, I remember that, but I also, saw the photograph, and both of those things are well overgrown for the space that's in there. You know what I'm talking about, Oscar? So, I mean, we can certainly have a discussion with that.
But with everything else that's homeowner planted and loud and everything else, that's down in a place that it's, hardly anybody's ever gonna see. I just
I
say,
understand what you're saying.
leave it alone.
Right, well, I'm thinking about it also from a sighting point of view, which,
It's not touching the side.
okay.
The bigger one,
Yes,
the bigger
get
one.
it in person. But
Where is this?
1004 Dunbar. And, yes, It's right
Some
next to
of
our
the places have almost a walkway down an
Yeah.
alleyway into the front door.
Yeah.
So this is at the end of one of those areas.
Okay, interesting. Yes, Miss.
It's in the pictures.
There are a lot.
Yes.
So
Diane.
if you can bring that up, that's it.
Yeah, I can't from here. This
Oh, that's the
computer's
one,
not
that's
networked.
the one we saw at, on our Zoom wall.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. That's the one, is the maple there?
There's a big spindle.
There's a big maple which is touching some of the siding, and then you have the fern there.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do it.
I have a question. If a limb comes down and it crushes bush, should we just write up a report on that? Or,
Yeah. Please. Yeah, just let me know and then I can. That needs to be replaced.
So you're,
And we're walking tomorrow in zone 7,
Zone 7 with Solveig, 8 o'clock start.
1425 University.
Yeah, that's what we need.
Okay.
14:25.
So
regarding your report, is it something that arson damage? Or was it?
No, leave a limb.
Okay.
All right, so, any other questions for Oscar?
Yeah.
No, that will be coming in homeowner comments, I guess. So, okay, so,
Hey, Rick is on it.
No, Rick has a
Rick
question.
Rick has a question about the ivy.
Yes, are we still planting ivy? See some of the, yes, these are, to plant flats of ivy, and I thought you had recommended against them.
Correct. So basically, if it's a new area, we're not gonna recommend, but if it's an existing area with ivy, first we're gonna fill that in.
Does that make sense, Rick? So if it's already ivy and the tree comes
Yeah.
out where ivy is, we're just gonna put a little bit of ivy in to fill it in. Okay, I'd be happy to take it. We'll create a service request. And then when we're on our zone 3 walk, we can take a look at it.
Well, it was something, it's on,
Okay, yeah, I've already responded to this email, but what are you asking for?
what she's asking.
Unhappy with the state of the incline itself. The grass is barely green. There was a huge, but all of that will be corrected during the planting, remediating tree removals.
Okay, I think we discussed this because we separated. It wasn't part of what we were, the tree remediation was separate. So this is, and
Oh, I hope that you will find something to fill in the barren spot. Okay, you remember that?
I do remember that.
Yeah, yeah, so we'll have to have some further discussion. You know, but
Okay, any other questions on Oscar? No? Okay, so we just move on to the zone steward comments. Here you go. Anything, any other comments you have? Anything? No. Okay,
Jim is just asking me a question. We had a homeowner who put in a service request, and I went to look at, Betsy notified both Jim and myself, and I went to look at the house. I took pictures, I sent it to Betsy, and she saw them. And Betsy informed me that they were writing up, it's gonna be taken care of.
yeah, the work order's already been placed.
that's in here, right?
Yeah,
now.
1006 Vanderbilt, yeah.
So what's the question?
No, Jim was just asking me if it was taken care of.
Oh, it
okay.
is,
Sorry,
yeah.
okay.
I've just seen service requests.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, the work order was just created last
pick up in the office a plant list?
Oh, yeah, I mean, I'll put it on the website, but if you want a printed copy, you can come by the office
Yeah,
and
or
normal, or I
maybe
can.
like, my thing doesn't.
Well, once it gets onto the website, then just let me,
Yeah.
yeah, the best thing is, we can print out about, for everyone here, so let's print out 13 copies. for
Okay.
everyone. And then that way it will be ready for pickup. Yes. Elaine?
I have a question. I thought the board approved pallet of Garth. We paid $6,000, whatever it was. Go around, we didn't pay it.
We didn't pay him $6,000. I think his billing to date has been more roughly in the 1,800.
And I understand that Carson is on the ground, boots on the ground. But why didn't we do this before? As opposed to maybe putting it together and now the board has approved,
Well, that's,
for Carson.
that's the
It's a
board's
little
decision.
confusing.
That's not our decision, that's the board.
I'm
Board has
asking a
made that.
question. I mean,
The
that's
board made the
probably
decision.
not-
And
Cheryl must know. Somebody
No,
knows.
Cheryl came in before Cheryl got appointed, and that was a decision made by.
I'm amazed the rest of the committee here, you guys aren't, I mean, it's
The committee was
it's
not.
confusing to me. It was confusing in the beginning when they decided to go with Garth Rutherford because Carson was on. And now
Yes.
we've gone, we've made a whole 3 seasons.
Yes, and absolutely right, Elwanger. I can call you Elwanger now.
Tell me so.
Then I'll call you Lance.
Don't worry,
But
spell my
it's
name
just
and
that,
call me.
at the time, I do recall this, but the committee was never asked for their input, and it was just, I mean, I believe.
I mean, it was a board decision to consult with a landscape architect. They have the right to consult with any expert they wish. It doesn't mean they always have to take all the advice.
So,
Yeah.
is that correct? I mean, the board just decided.
There was no decision made.
No
about
decision made.
accepting those, the Ruffner plan, so, and obviously, Carson got approved after that. Garth Ruffner prepared a document called Design Guidelines, and the board did adopt that. He also prepared a draft plant palette, and the board has instead adopted the Carson plant palette.
And I know that the Carson, the Ruffner guidelines, design guidelines, and Carson's comments are now as back with the board. They are, I believe, you're still evaluating
The
that.
board is evaluating those.
And then maybe it'll come back to us, or maybe they'll make a decision, but that'll be, that we will find out. It's a board decision. in other
Betsy,
words.
thank you. I think you pretty much clarified what I thought.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Any questions for Cheryl? All clear? You all good? Okay. So I'm opening it up to homeowner comments, second homeowner comments. Anybody? Yes?
Peter, do you want to use my microphone? I'll turn it off.
Well, but it's easier for people to hear, and especially anybody on Zoom.
Should be working.
I think this comment is too general for me to have put in a work order request. As I walk around outside my own unit and others, I'm seeing an awful lot of destroying plants. Use that to get your attention. The shrubs are being pruned, in my opinion, pretty good. They did some of the plants that I wondered why they hadn't been done a couple of years ago. So I'm very happy about that. On the other hand, the boxwoods, the mast plants are done with some kind of a hedge trimmer. And those hedge trimmers, in my opinion, need sharpening very badly because the plants are being shredded, not sliced. Consequently, they are subject to evaporation, disease, and insects. This is true mostly of the ones that don't have large single branches that they do cut. And once again, I'd like to compliment them. I like the shaping in most of the things I see, not that I'm qualified to judge. But I would suggest that we mention to them that trimmers have to be sharpened otherwise, and it also makes their own job easier. It's so much easier to trim with a sharpened blade than it is to whack at it and tear at it. So that's my suggestion. If this is the form to pass that along, I would appreciate if that's done.
Is it only
No, I haven't made a point of photographing and documenting. I've seen it in several places around the complex. I'd like to be able to give you specifically by zone, but I didn't take note of that. I just take note, if you look closely at the massing plants, you generally will see that the branch ends are shredded, not sliced.
And this is for the boxwood or just?
As I say, I'm also not a horticulturalist. Boxwood is an obvious one. I have some kind of plant. I'm not aware of what it is outside of my unit. Most of my alleyway has this kind of plant. Wherever you see a mass plant, even the mock oranges sometimes, which is such a shame, it's a beautiful plant, are getting shredded. So my only comment is perhaps an inquiry. How often do you think that your blades are sharp enough? How often do you sharpen your blades? It used to be a significant expense for me to have them mine sharpened, and so I can recognize that cost. But again, I think it's to their advantage as well.
Basically, we have a system on our shop. We sharp blades 3 times a week, sometimes 4 if it requires. So on some of the areas that when you working without streamers, 6, 7 hours, possibly they get a little dull, possible. But that's why we have that schedule sharp. But when you work so much pruning intensively, and especially when we have strawberry that it just grows really fast, it has a lot of, let's say, a lot of growth. Yeah, I mean, it's like when you use a knife, it's so, yes. But that doesn't mean that we not. We have a system in our shop that we turn all the stuff in for repair and check. It works, but
So this, we'll see, so see how it goes the next month, see how it goes. You notice anything? And if it's actually more broken, actual killer area, maybe.
Well, I think it's been a high volume month because it has been a high growth month. So definitely they're getting worked harder. And as we get into cooler temperatures and the growth slows down a little, it won't wear out to such a degree.
But if you have a particular spot that you notice, then, just jot that down and let Betsy know. So at least, and then they can convey that on to Oscar and correct the situation there. That's, that's the thing.
Yeah. And
Well, but we at least can see what the problem is. I mean, so it's rather, so, and a particular address, and so that they will then realize, hey, maybe we need to sharpen this a little bit more often. But at least the communication from you, perhaps to Betsy or anybody else here, to Betsy, and then grade on.
And we'll watch during the zone walks as well.
Yeah.
Now that we're aware of it, we'll
just
be
check.
looking.
Yeah, so that would be good. So that's good information to have. Great, thank you. Any other comments, any homeowners online? Oh, quiet, okay. Anyone here? Good, I guess we are adjourned. And the next meeting is on September 15th. Okay, that works for everybody.
Peter, how are you in there? No, but look.
Christina? Christina? This is Peter. Can you hear me? Christina?
Yes, I can hear you.
Thank you. The meeting was impossible to hear on Zoom because people weren't using microphones. So,
Okay.
just for future reference, please ask your committee to use their microphones. So people
Okay.
who are-
Okay, will do. Thanks, Peter. Thank you for that. Yeah, thank you.
we couldn't hear a thing.
Okay.
Thank you.
I haven't been down that way.
Well, yeah, but it's that, I don't know